welcome to our antisocial travel vlog. I'm Emily.
And I'm Andrew.
And we are counting down the top shore excursions that we took in 2023 on Royal Caribbean's boats. So, just for clarity, these aren't necessarily the top shore excursions that you could do on Royal Caribbean on any boat. These are just the top ones that we did. So, first we want to start by talking about our honorable mention. This isn't officially in the top 3, but it was one that we went on and enjoyed. We went to the Chachaban ruins in Puerto Costa Maya. We were on Allure of the Seas, and these are ruins like Chichen Itza. They're really beautiful. It's not as majestic as Chichen Itza is, in my opinion. They haven't fully restored them. So, like Chichen Itza, everything has been almost fully restored. I think there's still a few areas that they're working on. But the thing that you have to remember about these ruins is that they were just lost to the jungle for hundreds and hundreds of years. So when they were originally found in, I think, like the 50s or 60s, they had trees growing on them. They were sort of disheveled. And so if you go to Chichen Itza, you can actually see they left one side of the pyramid in its original state. So you can see how it looked when they sort of, cleared all the jungle off of it. A lot more of Chachaban looks like that. It's more raw. But some of the benefits of it are that it's closer to port, so it's not a long drive from the port to the ruins. It's not a short drive. I think it's about an hour and a half, but it's not as long as Chichen Itza, which we will get into later. But it's another benefit. I didn't see this when I went there, but supposedly you can see monkeys there sometimes. I was very excited about that because I've never seen a wild monkey in Central America or the Caribbean, and I really wanted to see a monkey.
Yeah, we did look. We looked. We spent a good amount of time looking away from the ruins into the trees below.
I was really excited to see a monkey.
Unfortunately, no monkey for us.
No monkeys.
Maybe it would have made the top 3 if there was a monkey.
There was a monkey. I've seen lots of videos on YouTube with monkeys. Like, I've seen videos on YouTube where there's like monkeys like running along the sides of the pyramids. No monkeys came to visit me that day. So, another thing that I think people really like about Chachaban is that you can walk up the pyramids. You can't go all the way up. You can only go up to about like the 15th step, which is probably for the best because they were not made safely when they made them. They're very steep. They're very large steps. It's not something you would ever want to trip on. So I think that's for the best. But another thing to consider with any of these shore excursions is that, you're going into the interior of the Yucatan Peninsula when you go to them. So it's going to be hot, like very hot. And so people with any mobility issues, anything like that, would probably be well advised to think twice about stuff like this because the ground is not even. It's very hot again. And it's just not something that I would recommend if you have mobility issues or if you have asthma or something like that. Like, it's just, it is taxing and you need to bring a lot of water with you because you should not be drinking the tap water in Mexico. So, yeah, but that's, again, like, it's a beautiful place, very cool, lots of history, and history that you can, like, is a little more tangible because you can touch it and interact with it, which is a big thing for me. Like, and I think this is kind of reflected in this list, like, when I go on vacations, one thing that's really important to me, like, I don't just like to go to a country and, like, sit on a pretty beach and be completely divorced from whatever is happening in that country or its history. Like, I like to, if I go to a place, I want to see its culture, its people. I want to interact with the people there. I want to see something besides just like, oh, pretty beaches. So for us, it was really important to go to some of these cultural heritage sites because, like I said, it's, there's pretty beaches everywhere, but you can only see the Mayan pyramids in Mexico, and they're such a rich part of Mexico's history. So it was important for us. So do you have anything to add on Chachaban?
Yeah, I think the nice thing about Chachaban is if you don't want to put yourself through the travel to something like Chichen Itza, and you would find more enjoyment in the physical interaction of that location, it's a good option. But it wasn't strong enough to make it to our top three, I don't think.
Yeah. Yeah, and the travel time is big because if you look on a map of where Chichen Itza is inside the Yucatan Peninsula, it is deep in the Yucatan. Like, it is far. It is a long drive. Whereas Chachaban is not. So if you want to do something, cultural heritage adjacent, and you want to see some of the pyramids and get the history, but you don't want it to be your entire day, then Chachaban would be a great option. So with that, we will move on to number 3, which is in fact Chichen Itza. So we went to Chichen Itza on Allure of the Seas. We stopped in Cozumel, and we took the shore excursion from Cozumel to Chichen Itza. And it was, so when you do it, you get off on the boat, you immediately go with your tour guide to the ferry. There is a ferry that goes from Cozumel to Playa del Carmen. It's about a 45-minute ferry ride. And then once you're in Playa del Carmen, you get on a van that is air-conditioned and nice, and you drive to Chichen Itza. The ferry ride there is not for the faint of heart, shall we say. We went on a day that had mild, by their standards, mild waves. Not by my standards. By my standards, it was like riding a mechanical bull for 45 minutes in the ocean. Not that it wasn't scary. Like, I don't want to give the impression that it was scary. It wasn't scary. It was just, if you are even remotely prone to getting seasick, it will be an issue on this ferry. And I know lots of other people have made YouTube videos about this, so if that's a concern for you, I highly suggest, I think we have a video.
Yeah, we'll be inserting it right about now.
Okay, yeah. We have video of the ferry ride. But one thing that really helps me with seasickness is just being up, where I can see the horizon, and being outside where I get fresh air. So when I got on the ferry, the first thing I did was like ask if I could sit up on the second, like the upper deck, the second floor. And they have a second floor to the ferry that has, like, the front of it is inside and the back of it is outside. And so I sat on the outside in the back, and I was fine. I did not get seasick, but she was moving.
I stared at the horizon like my life depended on it. And fortunately that helped just enough to where I didn't feel seasick, but I could feel that if I wasn't so intent on having that level horizon, I definitely would have gotten seasick.
Yeah, it's the people, and I don't know why they do this, but the downstairs level of the ferry, all of the windows are frosted, so you cannot see the horizon if you sit down there. So just, like, friendly tip, like, if you do this, try to sit on the upper deck outside in the back and just look at the horizon, and it won't be too, it's only a 45-minute ride. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's pretty. You get a really nice view of Cozumel and Playa del Carmen. But then once we got there, I feel like whenever we talk about this, like, the ferry ride there occupies like a decent amount of the discussion. But it was not that bad. I just always want to caution people to that, because I feel like if you're prone to motion sickness, and you don't have that information going into it, it could ruin your shore excursion. Like, if I had sat in the bottom of that boat and gotten really sick on the way there, and then gotten into a van and drove 2 hours after that, I would have been not a happy camper at Chichen Itza. So, I just feel like it's important to stress that to everybody else. Or, you know, I don't know, take Dramamine the night before or Benadryl. I've heard some people say that taking Benadryl the night before helps with seasickness. Whatever you do to help with seasickness, you might want to do that beforehand and then just sit outside. But once we got there, our tour guide Carlos was really nice. He took us on like a little walking tour of Playa del Carmen on our way to our
Shuttle.
Our like shuttle van, and he was awesome. He was from West Covina in California, like us. And he was just really nice, and the van was great. The van was air conditioned, comfortable. They had bottled water for us, snacks. He gave a really good explanation of the history of the Mayan culture and people on the way there. It was about a 2-hour bus ride once you got there. So just be advised, you're looking at about 6 hours in total in travel from the time you get to Cozumel until you are getting out of the van at Chichen Itza. But it covers all of your tickets and your admission. We brought a camera and we had to pay extra, but Carlos took care of it because you're not supposed to bring tripods, right?
I think there's a length limit. Don't quote me on that. Definitely check with the website, but I think anything that could be possibly used as a weapon is not allowed. So a tripod at certain lengths would be considered one.
Okay, yeah, because I remember like there was some question. We had like a little handheld thing for our GoPro, and there was some question about whether or not that was going to be okay, but it ended up being okay. They do like a very thorough inspection. One thing that is decidedly not okay is drones. And somebody who was in our group tried to bring a drone and fly it over, and he was detained because they have like the federales there. They do not play like about the security. I was actually really impressed with the security. I mean, like when you go to cultural heritage sites in the United States, like I don't think I've never been through a metal detector, but in Chichen Itza they take that very seriously. Like there are federal police there. They have metal detectors. It's like, I mean, it's not as intense as the airport, but it is close to the airport. Like it's stronger than like a concert venue security is. So
they peek in your handbags. Mm-hmm. They make sure it's a safe environment.
Yeah, so it's, you should not have any concerns about safety. But Chichen Itza itself is very cool. I think we did a video on it. If you want to see more of our time there, we got to see the pyramid. What's the main pyramid called? Do you remember?
Oh, is it El Castillo?
I think it is El Castillo.
Yeah.
If it's not, we'll put the right name in the video. We got to see the market. We got to see the ball court. It was really fascinating learning the history of, the importance of the jaguar and the snakes, and I think is it Teotihuacan? I'm probably butchering that right now. Like,
let's just say it is.
Yeah, the feathered snake god.
Yeah,
that is like their symbol of like the afterlife and rebirth, and if you look on the pyramid, the snake like goes down the side. And there's those snake heads at the bottom, and I can't remember if it's on the equinox or the solstice. I think it's on the solstices. It like the shadows of the sides of the pyramid line up perfectly so you can see like the curves of the snake going down and lines up with the snake's head on the ground. But yeah, that and the jaguar were their like two symbols of power, and they had an astronomical observatory that was really advanced. If you know anything about Mayan culture, like I'm sure you are aware that they were very good astronomers. They had very advanced calendars. And they also had, they were a little intense with their sporting events. Like so they played these ball games, and the team that won was ritually sacrificed. That blew me away. Like, I mean, I knew that they sacrificed some people, but I didn't know that like if you won, it was like it was considered a great honor, and they would sacrifice you and they would take your heart to the inside of El Castillo, the pyramid, and they would place it on like the jaguar throne, and then your spirit would go on to be with the spirit of the jaguar. I think again, like this is
Yeah,
my
I think there's some debate among this, but from what I understand, the majority opinion is that the victors were sacrificed, and they were granted an audience with the gods and immortality. With you had a carving on
yeah.
the victory wall, and I think it might have been your likeness or your name or something.
Well, it's your skull, so I don't know if they really do a likeness of your skull, but
Yeah.
they have like a wall of skulls, and I mean like it's a carvings of skulls. It's not actual human skulls. But all of those skulls represent ball players who were really, I guess, good. I don't know. I mean, if I was on that team, I would try to lose because I wouldn't want to be sacrificed. But it's, it's really impressive, and I think it speaks to how strong their belief was, that they were down to play ball and then get sacrificed. So, and then we learned interesting history about I think it was the Maya and the Toltecs, and that it had originally been a Toltec site, and the Maya came in, and then they had a truce, and they have like carvings that symbolize that truce. So really cool. I highly recommend going with a guide, because all of the oral history that I'm reciting, probably poorly right now, but it all came from our guide. So I wouldn't have learned this just by, I don't feel like there's like information plaques around. Maybe there are. I don't know. I didn't notice them, but
maybe little, but not anything close to what you would get with the guide.
Yeah, like our guide, Carlos, was really good. He was really informative. And again, like despite the travel time, I think that this is really worth it, because like I said, like they've spent a lot of money on restoring it. So as I mentioned when I was talking about Chachaban, like there's one side of El Castillo that is not restored, so you can see how it was in its original state. And our tour guide, Carlos, told us that part of the reason that the pyramid had become so run down is because when the Spanish came, they took the polished stones off the side of it and used them for church floors and buildings. So a lot of the original exterior of El Castillo is now part of the local churches around town. But the restoration job is beautiful. And another thing is, if you go with a guide, they can usually tell you what are the original carvings and what are the remakes, because some of these sculptures, like in the ball court, one of the loops on the side that they sort of try to throw I think it was like, did they play with a head?
No, I don't think it was a head.
Okay, it was a ball. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So their ball, like one of the loops that they throw it through is original, but the other is fake. And it's hard to tell which is which. But Carlos had a photograph. He had like these photographs from like the 50s or the 60s, whenever they like cleared it out and like began the restoration. So you could see how it looked before everything was restored, and you could see what was original and what wasn't. So very cool. But do you have anything else on Chichen Itza?
I think the thing with Chichen Itza, and the reason it's not higher in this list, is the amount of time spent traveling is a pretty big, it's a significant consideration.
Yeah. Because it's your whole day.
It's not such a consideration that I wouldn't still recommend it. I think the decision there would be if this is likely to be the best chance you have of visiting Chichen Itza.
Yeah.
I think it's worth taking. If you really feel strongly about spending more time there and making a dedicated trip for it, or if you're already going to be nearby in Mexico somewhere, it might make more sense to travel to it that way and not via a ship excursion from Cozumel.
Yeah, because you're only there for like maybe an hour.
Yes, it is. It blows by fast, but it is Chichen Itza. It is one of those things you hear about your whole life, that you see on TV or in your history books, and
it's like one of the 7 modern wonders of the world.
Yeah, it's an incredible site, and if you're okay with that travel and with that amount of time there, it's still a good recommendation, but not number one for us.
Yeah, and for me, like, I'm not a great flyer, so I don't like to go on planes a lot. So, this was really one of the only opportunities that I was going to have to see Chichen Itza. So that was a big reason why we took a shore excursion there, because there was not really, we were never going to fly and stay in like Progreso or Merida or any of those cities. So for us, this was our only chance to see it. So that's why we did it as a shore excursion. But like Andrew said, if you go to oh gosh, what's that big city? Like not Cozumel, the one above it, Cancun.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go to Cancun, I think you can take tours from there too. So if you go to Mexico a lot, a shore excursion might not be the best vehicle to do this in, just because the travel time, the travel time, no matter where you come from, is going to be a while. Coming from Cozumel, it's a lot because you have the ferry to factor in on top of it too. But if you're staying in Mexico, you'll just be able to stay there a little longer. So that's, something to think about. So, with that, on to our number two. Our number two is actually, there are two excursions that I'm going to mention because you can do them both in the same day. And these were both things that we did in Labadee, Haiti, and we went there on Oasis of the Seas. The first thing we booked was the Dragon's Flight. It's a zip line. And just so you know, there are two zip lines you can do: the Dragon's Flight and the Dragon's Breath. The Dragon's Flight, you go down in a sitting position. The Dragon's Breath, you are like Superman, like you're laying on your stomach, like sailing over the water. So, and I don't feel like the website does a great job of explaining that on Royal.
It's not clear. Yeah. You kind of have to be paying attention and reading a little closely.
Yeah, because I know when we booked it, I was like, wait, which one? And
and they're priced a little differently too, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, the one where you're laying on your stomach, the Dragon's Breath, is a little bit more money. So it's the longest overwater zip line in the world. The whole process is maybe a little over an hour. You do a rehearsal zip line first.
Yeah.
So you go down by the beach. They get you strapped into your harness, which is like not a little harness. It is a very intense, like 5-point. It looks like my dad raced cars, and so he had like these big like 5-point racing harnesses, and that's what it looks like. Like it's a really you feel secure, you feel very safe. And then you go up some like little steps and you walk to the first zip line, and it's maybe 35 feet off the ground, like probably the height of a 3-story building. Not it's definitely not the top of the Dragon's Flight. And you get used to the idea of like walking out on this little platform, and then just ziplining down. In my opinion, the ending, because you zipline down and then you come to a stop. I felt like the stop at the end of the practice one was harder than the actual Dragon's Flight.
I think it's a shorter, like.
It's a shorter. Oh well, it's a much
stop.
shorter line.
Well, yeah, but I think even like you have a longer stop at the longer end of the jump.
Well, the Dragon's Flight, the line isn't so angled. So, and the reason I mentioned is just because like if you have neck injuries or issues or back injuries or issues, I probably wouldn't recommend this because it does come to a sudden stop. Like it didn't bother me. I don't think I saw anybody get hurt. But just if you do have any sort of spinal or shoulder issues, you might want to think twice. And I think they mentioned that in the overview when you sign the little waiver and everything. But just to be safe, because the stop is sort of abrupt. But other than that, you know, it's fun. It's a zip line. It's the practice one. In my opinion, the practice one doesn't really prepare you for the main one because it's so different visually. So after you do the practice one to kind of like build your courage up, then you get in this little Jeep and it's like a, you know, a 4-speed manual transmission Jeep that drives you up this mountain and you're sitting in the bed of it. And it's like, I remember thinking like, oh my God, they're going to top out the RPMs. Like this thing is like at the top of its RPMs as it was going up the mountain, but it's fine. It got up there. And when you get up there, like I don't like heights. So I was kind of worried about this, but this was something that I wanted to do to help cure my fear of heights. But I was scared like about being up on the tower because you're on a mountain. I think it's like over 500 feet elevation from the water, and you're on this, like, I guess mountain is a bit dramatic. Like it is a tall, steep hill. And then there's a big bay, and then you go on the zip line all the way across the bay to like a little peninsula on the other end. And so you get off the bus, you walk, and there's no like tower that you climb up. You actually kind of just walk straight out from the top of the hill onto what looks like almost like a high tension power line tower. It's built like that. It looks like it's made out of like aluminum. And it's like a ramp and you just walk out to it. And there are 4 lines. They send people off of them in groups. And it's very safe. Like they have walkie-talkies. They talk to the people down at the bottom. Like I never felt like, and it's all Royal Caribbean staff that comes out and oversees everything. And one of the things that I was scared about is that when you walk out onto the platform, one side of it's just open. Like and you're probably at least 40 feet off the ground because you're a solid 20 to 25 feet above the treetops at this point. And the treetops are not the ground. So I was like, oh my God, what if you fall? But you can't, because they actually have a safety line behind you that clips from your back to a line along the side of the tower. So there's no way you could, you could lose your footing and slip over the side, but you would just sort of hang at like knee height because you wouldn't, the line that connects you to the safety rail behind you is only like a foot long. So you really can't, like, even if you tried to jump off, you couldn't, and you wouldn't even fall more than like I said, you would be like, your knees would be touching the platform. You wouldn't even be below it. So, but you just walk out. Like I made a point of not looking down because I get vertigo if I look down from ledges. So you walk out on the platform, you're clipped into your safety line, and then they hook you up to the zip line. And once you're all clipped into that, the last thing that they do is release your safety line. So there's no way you could fall. It's very safe, like very, very safe. And it's not scary fast either. Like I felt like I was maybe going like 20 miles an hour. Like it's not like super, super fast, but it is so beautiful. Like the views are so incredible as you can see your ship, you can see the whole bay. And one of the things that was just like magical to me is that as we were going over the bay, you can look down and see the coral formations. And it's stunning. It's like a drone footage. It's beautiful. And you're just flying like a little bird.
Hi everyone, Andrew here. Thank you so much for making it this far through this video. If you are enjoying it, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. We are still a young channel, and any support is greatly appreciated. I also want to let you know that we can also be found on TikTok. Please find us by searching Antisocial Travel Vlog. And now back to our video.
So, yeah, as you're like flying over the water, the views are just stunning. You can see the coral. And you're in the air for a solid like 90 seconds, would you say?
Yeah, it's definitely over a minute. And like you said, it's beautiful. You see your ship, you see the coral. It's one of my favorite views of all of our excursions.
Yeah.
The view from the top of that, I would call it a mountain as well. It's tall enough. It feels like a mountain. And the view from there down to your ship and on the journey down the zip line to your ship, along the beach, over the water, it is like a stunning sight.
Do you tell them about your experience at planning? Because I'm not normal. I'm terrified of heights. So, like, mine was really dramatic.
I think the practice run is a great, it's a great little first attempt to get you comfortable with what's about to happen in the bigger one. Like Emily said, the stop is like a little intense. Like, it's not painful or anything, but it is, you do kind of swing forward at the end of the lines and then return back to your upright position. And it takes a little bit of getting used to. And I think for some reason, like you said, the practice run has a little more of an intense stop because of the angle of the line, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you aren't great with heights, it is something to consider. But yeah, I think we were both pretty fine, and we both had a good time, and we enjoyed it.
I'm terrible with heights, and I had a great time. But like I said, I think one of the things that helped me with it was that I didn't have to walk up the tower. You just drive up there, and then you just walk out on a ramp. You don't have to like climb these stairs and get like progressively higher and higher. You just walk out on a ramp, and then, you know, the ground goes down, but you stay at the same height. And it was just beautiful. It was really one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. And it's really quiet too. Like when you're up there, you hear like the little sort of zip of the line, but that's it. Like it's very quiet. And it's just kind of like you alone in the sky, sailing over the jungle and then the ocean. And it's beautiful.
Yeah. And I think the reason it shares a slot with our next excursion is that we did our flight in the morning.
Yeah.
And I think we both found this a great way to spend your day on Haiti, because you get a good variety of what Haiti has to offer the way that we did it.
Yeah, and this is why I included both of these, because I think that doing them together is a phenomenal day. So we did the Dragon's Flight, like first one we could book in the morning. Like I think we were at like 9:15 or something. And then we did it like 2 p.m. We did the Cultural Traditions Tour. And it gave us a good amount of time in between to, like, we checked out the little shop that they had. We bought a few things. We actually went back to the ship and dropped them off. We swam at the beaches. I think, in my opinion, the best beach there is Columbus Cove. And then, as I mentioned earlier in this, like, it's really important to me when we go to different countries to not just do like the port, you know. I wanted to do something that is like integrated with the local culture, which is hard in Haiti because of their security situation, but because it's very hard to get off the port there. Like the only excursion you can do that actually leaves the port is the Cultural Traditions Tour, and it takes you, so you leave from the port where your ship is, you get on a boat, and they're not Royal Caribbean employees, they're locals that live in the village that's right by there. And they come and get you, and they take you to the village of Labadee, which is just down from the port. And I know a lot of people are concerned about the security situation in Haiti because of the news and stuff that's happened in Port-au-Prince. But in the north where we were, like, it is very safe. And I just want to stress, like, how important it is to try to give some of your tourist money to the locals there because it means so much to them. I think like the last time I looked at the statistics, Royal Caribbean's port in Labadee comprised 60% of Haiti's like tourism economy, was just that one port. But, you know, Royal runs a lot of it. So a lot of the people that help you along the way are Royal employees who have gotten off the boat. So, this was a really good way to be able to see Haiti, you know, and not just a port, but like actual Haiti, meet people who lived there, and everyone was so incredibly friendly. So when you go, you get off, you go to, I think it's called Norm's Place is where you get off. He's like an American expat who built a resort there. He married a woman who was a Haitian, and they built this really beautiful resort there. And there's an old kiln there that they use to make, I think like masonry. They used it to like break down the powder, and I guess you burn it. I don't know. I'm not an expert in these things. I just remember that it was a kiln and it had something to do with masonry. But it was from like, oh gosh, I think like it was like several hundred years old. Yeah. So I don't remember exactly how old it was, but it was cool to see. And then you go and they have a little shopping village there. It's not crazy like some of the other shopping villages. Like if you go to like the artist market at the port is not too bad. They don't have people like aggressively like trying to drag you into their stalls. But if you go into the artist village, it's like, it is intense. Like their salespeople are very intense. Now, and I don't know that I was clear when I said that. So the artist market and the artist village are in Royal Caribbean's port. That's not in the fishing village that we went to. But if you do want to go support local artists, again, I recommend doing the Cultural Traditions Tour because you have the same opportunity to buy local crafts. You're just not getting the intensity that comes with the artist village at Royal Caribbean's port, because those are local artists. A lot of them are from Cape Haitian, and they come and they sell their stuff. But their culture, and I've seen a lot of people on YouTube complaining about the aggressiveness of the salespeople there. But to me, like, that's their culture. That's, you know, we don't do that like that in America, but that's how they do it there. And so they're not trying to be rude. That's just how their culture is. But it's something you should be aware of. If you're uncomfortable with really aggressive sales tactics, you might want to avoid the artist's village. But I highly recommend doing the Cultural Traditions Tour because then you do get to get the local crafts. Like I bought beautiful necklaces, paintings, a bunch of really cool stuff that, you know, I gave away as gifts to our family later on. And then obviously some of it I kept for myself. And then after you go through their little, you know, artists, you know, they have like a few little stalls with like necklaces, dolls, homemade goods, crafts. They also made us fresh sugarcane juice. They had like a little set up in a tree where they took like 2 tree branches and squeezed this piece of sugarcane out and gave us fresh sugarcane juice.
Yep, it was delicious.
Yeah, it was really good. Like, they're very friendly. They're very hospitable. Everyone there was very pleasant. And then they take you to a pavilion and they do a show where they do some traditional dancing. They have traditional cultural costumes on. They teach you about the local herbs and the properties that they had in traditional Haitian folk medicine. There's a little bit of voodoo in there, not gonna lie. So if you're uncomfortable with that, maybe this isn't the right show for you. But I thought I was fascinated. I mean, that was a big selling point for me, was to get to see you know, their indigenous culture, medicine, religion, dancing. I thought it was really cool. I got, they do bring some of the ladies in the audience. up to do the dance with them, like the fire dance.
Yep. So we'll insert a clip of that
Oh
now.
no. I was one of the women that was selected to be in it, and I am I don't know that I would call dancing my strong suit. So I was a little bit mortified, but I guess I did okay. I did my best. The other two girls who were up there were great dancers. They did a fabulous job. I woefully attempted to keep up. I had like horrible blisters on both of my feet because I always get blisters when I travel because I do so much walking. It's so bad that I actually bring like a kit with band-aids and Neosporin because I just know that it's gonna happen. So I had like two busted up feet while I was trying to do the cultural traditions dance. But it was, again, like it was an amazing time. I think that it's so important to try to give some of your dollars to the local economy when you go to these countries, especially countries that, you know, are struggling economically. Everyone in Labadee was so kind and so warm and so accommodating and so grateful for us to, you know, just visit. They gave us little like laundry cubes that they use there. They gave us these really cute. I haven't used them in my laundry, but it was like I was like, that's such a sweet gift. Thank you. Like, because they don't, you know, they don't have a lot there. So this is what they have. They have their sugarcane juice. They have their little blue indigo laundry cubes, and they gave us Haitian money too. They were like, oh, here, take a Haitian dollar with you, you know. And then at the end, you go back to Norm's place and you go through a little sort of makeshift museum that he's assembled. And there are some artifacts from slavery in there and the revolution. And so it's, you know, stuff like that is very sombering to see. But it's part of that island's history. So they have like chains, and like one of them was like a chain that went around someone's neck and their wrists. Like it's horrifying. I mean, it looks like a torture device. So it's horrific to see those things, but it is an important part of that island's history and it shouldn't be forgotten. And I thought that it was admirable of them to collect those things and feature it in that tour, because it's not, you know, that is a very, very real part of that island's history. And so I think it does well to include it in a cultural traditions tour, but you really get a full sort of, in a very short, I mean, I think our tour was only like, I think we were only there for like an hour maybe. But you get a full, you know, you get the culture, the music, the crafts, the history, and the history of everything, like the pre-colonial history to colonization, slavery, the revolution, independence. You get all of it in there, and they did a great job. So like I said, like I really, if you go to Haiti, I think that the Dragons Flight and the Cultural Traditions Tour are both things that are super, super like awesome to do for totally different reasons. One is just like a fun zip line that is, you know, an amazing experience. But it's completely divorced of like anything culturally to do with Haiti. It's just a beautiful thing to do. And then one that's very sort of ingrained with the culture and the people of the island, which is an awesome thing to do too. So those were definitely my two favorite things to do on Haiti. Highly recommend. Do you have anything to add, Andrew?
It's a quick little 20-minute boat ride across the main port over to like a nice private and more true showing of Haiti and its people. And I don't think it's super popular. I know when I've looked on YouTube before to see other videos of that of that excursion, there weren't a lot that were recent. So I think it's important to highlight it, and we both had a great time. And I think it's a great way of giving money like more directly to the people of Haiti, and you get a great experience out of it.
Yeah, definitely. Like it, and it's not like one of those corny things where you just like sit in a pavilion and like somebody comes on and talks for a few minutes and then they do a little dance and you leave. Like you get to walk around, and the village is like idyllic and beautiful. I mean, it is so pretty and so peaceful. Like when we took our boat up, there was like all the local children were just swimming in the ocean after school, just like having a great time. I mean, it is. And I think one of the reasons that you don't see people going there is because of the perception that Haiti is not safe. Um, it was, I felt perfectly safe at all times. And I think they did like at least 2 of those tours a day. And, no, nothing was happening to anybody. It was fine. It's very safe. The stuff that you see about Haiti and the trouble there is down in Port-au-Prince. So, definitely recommend doing it. It was almost our number one. But which brings us to our number one, which was Tabiana Beach in Roatan in Honduras. And we went there on Allure of the Seas last summer. And it was just, so the Tabiana Beach excursion, you just book through the website. I think it was like $60 or $70 a person, not super expensive as far as shore excursions go. They will give you snorkel equipment if you don't have it, but we brought our own because I don't share stuff that touches your mouth. And you get off the ship, they put you on a little bus. It's about a 25 minute bus ride. The bus ride is really cool. You kind of go up the spine of Roatan, which is, it's like a little mountain. Not super tall. Again, it's like Haiti. It's like, it's kind of a mountain, but it's not like Colorado Rockies high. But you go along the spine of the mountain and then you get to the West Bay Beach, which is where Tabiana is. Tabiana is like a beach club. It's not a resort where people stay overnight. They have lockers there. You can rent them. It's $10 to rent, but $5 is the deposit. So you give them $10, and when you give them the key back, you get $5 back. I don't think you really need to rent lockers, in my opinion, though, because they have people who sit there and watch your stuff that you can leave on your chairs. They're very diligent. Our guy sat right by our chair the whole time. I don't think he ever left. So I felt like our stuff was very safe. They actually have, in Roatan, they have these little like ropes on the beach by like the shore so that people who are vendors on the beach, and I didn't see many of them. I think I maybe saw 3 the whole time we were there. Like, it's not like some beaches that are really congested with vendors. But the vendors can't cross that rope, so they cannot go up into the beach resort where the chairs are. So if you get a chair there, you're no one's gonna come bother you to buy anything. So the reason that this is number one is because of the snorkeling, but I'm gonna talk about that last because I want to kind of explain Tabiana Beach Resort before I get into the snorkeling, which was the most spectacular snorkeling I've ever done. But the beach resort has bathrooms, it has showers. It also has a gift shop that I didn't see anybody else go to it, and I think that was such a tragedy because they, like, on the outside of it, you just see like these like t-shirts that say Tabiana Beach, and it looks sort of, like a t-shirt shop. But when you go into it, they have a lot of local crafts. And I'm really big on buying stuff like that. Like, I love to get locally made arts and crafts, jewelry, whatever. Like, I just think it's such a cool way to support local artists and to have something unique that you take home with you that's not something you can buy at Target. And they also had a painter there who, I mean, and you can see those like they have them in Cozumel, they have them in Haiti, but she was so, like, she painted these birds and they were spectacular. And I got like, I don't know, maybe like a 10 by 12 paintings, and they were $25 each. Like, the prices were amazing. In Haiti, when I bought a same size painting. I paid $75 for it. I only paid $25 for these two beautiful bird paintings. And then I also got these grass woven baskets. And they were $10. Like, crazy, crazy good deals and really beautiful, authentic handmade crafts. Also the beach vendors, they sold really cool stuff. Like, it wasn't just like dudes with screen printed t-shirts. One of the women was selling mahogany like bowls and jars, and I got a beautiful little mahogany jar from her for $25. Like, and Roatan is known for its mahogany, so super cool. I'm a shopper when I go on these cruise excursions. I love to get, like I said, like local arts and crafts. So this was a big selling point for me too, was that there were really good local crafts for sale there, and they were super affordable. So that was awesome. But the most amazing part of it was the snorkeling. It's walk out snorkeling. It's not like Cozumel, like at El Cielo, where you have to take a boat and you're kind of like open water snorkeling, and it can be a little rough. It is, you walk out. And so there's like a reef line that breaks the waves. And then you're swimming inside of that. And so the water is calm. And I have never seen so many fish in my life. Like, there were so many species. There were parrotfish, there were sergeant majors, and there was hundreds of them. I mean, everywhere you look, there was just a ton of fish. And it's, like I said, like, it's walk out. Like, you're not in the open water. You're not bobbing up and down like a cork while you're trying to snorkel. I mean, I don't know if you could you couldn't stand up where the reef was, and you wouldn't want to, because you do not want to stand on a reef because it will cut your feet to ribbons.
And hurt the reef.
Yes, and hurt the reef, which we saw someone do, actually. Someone tried to climb onto one of the coral outcroppings, and the coral won. We'll just say that.
Yeah, we were underwater and heard a cry of pain.
Yeah, because he tried to stand up on the coral outcroppings, which is not... Yeah, you don't ever want to try to do that. But we saw a barracuda. What else did we see?
We saw angelfish. We saw... Oh, gosh.
You saw a sea urchin too, right?
I saw a sea urchin. I don't know if I got... I think I got a picture or two of the sea urchin. I'll insert here. But yeah, we saw an incredible amount of fish. And we went from people that were just a little curious about snorkeling to people who loved it on this excursion.
Yeah, it really made us fall in love with snorkeling. Like, it is such an amazing place. Oh, we also saw a spiny-tailed iguana. They're
indigenous to Roatan.
Yep, they are indigenous to Roatan. I think they're actually endangered too. But they live, so if you go to Tabiana Beach, the best snorkeling, in my opinion, is if you walk out on the beach, if you're facing the ocean and you look left, you'll see like this big stone wall where the beach ends. It's not a man-made wall. It's like, I don't know, volcanic or something. But the most sea life tends to congregate kind of along the side of that wall. So
and especially early in the morning or early in the day.
Yes, and we booked our excursion like early in the morning because I was like, no, that's when they say the best snorkeling is in the morning. So you really want to get out there and get in the water and see everything first thing. But it is so, so, so beautiful. The beach is the most beautiful beach I've ever seen. The sea life is unbelievable. There's just so much of it. I couldn't get enough of it. If I could do it over again, I would have. We brought like cheap masks and snorkels because we didn't know what we were doing and we didn't really have a strong interest in snorkeling beforehand. And it started to hurt my face like a little ways through, and so that kind of limited my snorkeling time because I had like a cheap mask. And I've since invested in like a very good Cressy mask. And I would recommend Cressy. That's a great brand. And you can get them on Cressy's website. It's not crazy expensive. I think mine, I got it on a Black Friday sale. So you can get into a decent one for 30 or 40 bucks. Mine is that I have now is probably 140 full price, but I got it on a Black Friday sale. So it wasn't, I think I got it for like 70 or 80 bucks. And I got it from scuba.com, which is where I get all my equipment from. They have really good deals. So yeah, definitely recommend checking them out. But because equipment matters for stuff like this, equipment definitely matters. So bring good equipment, and don't use. Like I said, the equipment is included in your price, but I wouldn't recommend doing that. I would bring my own, and if you buy a good snorkel mask, it'll last you 20 years. So if you spend 40, 50 bucks, I think it's money very well spent, because you'll have it forever. If you cruise regularly, you will likely have lots of opportunities to snorkel, so it will get a decent amount of use. And the difference between good equipment and bad equipment is a big difference, just in terms of how it, because like I said, like bad equipment, you will end up having a migraine, you will end up, your face will just ache afterwards. So definitely worth spending the money. But yeah, what do you have to add?
I agree with everything you said. And one thing we didn't touch on that's important for both of the Haiti excursions and for this one is the importance of hydrating.
Yes.
Because you're out in the sun, maybe you're having a drink or two. You definitely want to hydrate. That that is a key thing to having a good time. But Tabiana Beach is definitely my number one because of how beautiful the location was and how nice the people were, and also just the incredible snorkeling that we were able to do there. That's definitely one of my favorite cruise experiences of the year.
Yeah, and they serve you lunch too.
They do. They serve you. We had a great lunch with fresh cut melons and papaya and rice and beans. We're vegetarian, by the way. But yeah, we had plenty of options there for us, and they were all delicious.
Yeah, it was great. Like we attempted to book a trip back to Roatan. It did not work out for us, but this was a place that we loved so much that we were going to travel there independently of a ship, because it was just gorgeous and not overly commercial. Like there are resorts there, but they're not massive. They're not high rises. It's still kind of got that like old school, laid back Caribbean feel. It's not packed. It's not swarming with tourists. It's not swarming with, people selling junk. Like it's a very cool place. So
also there along the beach, we had a local cut open a fresh coconut for us.
Oh yeah,
and that was delicious too.
Yeah, that was really fun. So one of the vendors that was there, he just like set up, and you could, I think it was like $5.
Yeah.
And he would he had a little basket full of coconuts, and he would chop open a coconut. He had like a machete, like a full on giant machete, and he just like nothing, just like chopped the sides off the coconut, chopped the top open, put a straw in it, and handed it to us. So it was really cool to get to have a fresh coconut on the beach. Another one of the vendors was selling rambutans that I think she picked on the island. So like I said, like the vendors have really cool stuff. The water is beautiful. Everybody at the resort was amazingly friendly. It's right next to Infinity Bay, which is a beautiful hotel. It's the hotel that we were supposed to stay at, and it was so lovely. Like if you plan a trip there, I highly, highly recommend going there. Just absolutely breathtaking, and not hyper commercialized either. Just kind of like a low key, kick back, quiet corner of the Caribbean that's still really beautiful and authentic. So that was our number one spot.
Yeah. So let us know what you thought.
Yep. Thank you if you listened this long.
Yep. We appreciate you. We hope you've had a great year and that you have a great 2024.
Yep. Happy New Year, and cheers to more fun cruise adventures next year.